What is up, guys, and welcome back to the infamous project. Today we're gonna have a little bit of an update slash goodbye to the one and only Cali Coupe. And it's been a great run, a great time, and unfortunately I didn't even really enjoy the car. I bought it, I worked on the previous owner for the better part of a year to convince him to sell it to me. He finally sold it to me. And you know, it was kind of during those COVID times where things were just kind of weird and messed up and everything else. So the car got here and it sat, and eventually I got to it and I went over and did a shit ton of work to this thing. Like, it looked good when it first got here. If you remember, it was on the 18-inch Celine replica wheels, and the car looked beautiful just the way that it was, but it needed a few little infamous touches, which, you know, I completely went over everything in one way or another, except for the paint. Paint was good. I wasn't going to complain there. The car is dirty right now, so my apologies for that. But, you know, I redid all of the trim. We did the brand new Daniel Carpenter quarter glass windows, which you guys can remember. This car was sort of like the guinea pig of the introduction via LMR of the release of these windows. And I had some troubles. They've been in, what, 2-3 times now, and finally I'm hoping that they're in there to stay finally. So if you haven't checked out those videos, make sure that you do. I went over the whole interior, like everything from suede headliner to Corbeau seats to completely redying everything in here. And you're gonna see there's a couple things laying on the ground. Oh, we even got the custom Cali Coupe floor mats, full LED conversion. And I'm having a blinker problem right now, and that's why you can see the blinker on the ground there. But that was all done and completely detailed up slash painted the engine bay. That 5.0 intake plate could probably use a little little scuff down there. But other than that, you know, this car is pretty nice. I had originally done a set of custom yellow tinted headlights in the front. Those have been removed, and the buyer, purchaser, funny enough, lives in California. So this car is going back to Cali, just like the old LL Cool J song, and it's actually getting a new set of wheels and tires put on before it goes. Now, the owner is a female follower and subscriber to the infamous project, which is awesome because my analytics tell me that 96% are male, so it's cool that we got some females out there, especially ones that love Foxbody. So I'm really excited for her to get this car and enjoy it. She can drive manual, guys, but she genuinely wanted an automatic to make her life a little bit easier during the commute to work and back. And I really can't blame her. You know, I've been, I guess, talking up the automatics on and off here throughout all my videos. And there's something to be said about just putting the car in drive and not worrying about it. Like, if you're not trying to win races and you're just cruising, like, this is a cruising car. That was the other thing. I upgraded the whole stereo, did the convertible style hinges for the trunk, so you could actually get a speaker box back there that looks good. So needless to say, if you're just cruising around, nothing wrong with just the automatic. Got an automatic sitting in this yellow lemon thing sitting over there, which I still got to do some footage on that car. So she was a little concerned. She loved the stance and loved the look of everything, but I said, you know what, it's not an easy car to get around in. The 17s got you really close to the ground from the exhaust and the front splitter and everything else. And honestly, guys, these wheels wouldn't look as good if this car got raised up. At least that's my opinion. So at first, she actually wanted me to have the moldings painted body color, and I cringed because I was that person originally before too. Like, I love just, you know, the solid color on one of these cars, but there's something about this one. I think it's the tires, the super dark tint, the fresh trim. I feel like that black molding really just brings the car together. So we went back and forth on some different wheel and tire combos and options. And, you know, this car is a little bit of a tricky one. There's an SN95 rear end in here, so we got 3/4 of an inch of extra poke on either side. And then in the front, we got some pulled fenders that allow for some pretty big tires up there. So, you know, I've talked about this before in some of the other videos. You can see how that fender is actually kind of sticking out like this, and that gives you all types of clearance. It's an easy way to make more room in there, and you can get a bigger wheel, bigger tire, and do whatever it is that you want. The rear quarters are rolled. So what we ended up going with is these Aodhan or Aodhan or Aodhan, or who knows how you pronounce this wheel. This is the DS08 model, 5x1 14.3. They are 35 millimeter offset on an 18 by 8.5. So this is a square setup that's going on the car, and it's going to work out okay. In fact, I'm actually going to be running slight spacers. I think we have a 7 millimeter and a 10 millimeter. 10's going in the back, and the 7 is going in the front, and it works out really well. The other thing that I'm going to be doing is raising the coilovers up, because they are as low as they can possibly go. And in fact, I even took out the locking ring out of the rear, so I'm going to put the locking ring back on, and we're going to raise the car up maybe 1/2 inch on the coilover. And then the wheel and tire is actually going to raise it up a little bit too, just because there's a little bit difference in the overall diameter with the new 18-inch setup. If you guys are wondering about tire size, 245, 35, 18. And, you know, some of you guys might be like, okay, 245, that's good in the front. Why not go wider in the rear? Well, can't really go wider in the rear. Might have been able to do it. Again, just messing with that SN95 rear diff, and you know, that 3/4 of an inch of extra poke on each side, it makes it difficult. And these wheels didn't come with very many offset options. So wanted to play it safe with the default offset. It's easy to add, you know, by use of spacers, or I should say remove. It's not easy to add, you know what I mean, by having to shave wheel down to try and get things to get recessed more into the fender well. So that is where we're at with that. I've already done the passenger side, and everything turned out pretty good over there. I'm going to go ahead now and do the driver's side, and I'll reveal to you guys the new look. Hopefully you guys like it. Then I'll figure out the whole flasher ordeal, and then this car, actually, it's not going to be totally on its way yet because it's going to California. Funny enough, there's off-road H-pipe on this car, and well, she's going to need something with cats. So I've got this guy right here, so this will be going in the car. I'll be taking the off-road off, and you know what, maybe it'll help give these one chambers a better tone. This car sounds pretty good at idle, but I kind of feel like once you start getting into the RPMs, one chambers just, they don't do it for me the way that a two chamber does. So that is the story right here, right now on the Cali Coupe. Go ahead, get these wheels on, H-pipe will get swapped, figure out the turn signals, and the car is going to be on its way. In fact, probably do an oil change on it, just kind of do a quick once over. You know, last thing you want is somebody who's paying, hasn't seen a car in person, and they're paying to have it transported halfway across the country. You want to make sure that they're happy when the car shows up. So we'll get the new owner taken care of, and that is the scoop on the Cali Coupe. Wheels are on, got them torqued down. Gonna go take this thing for a quick test drive and see how it rides with a little bit increase in height, just to probably should have done a comparison before. At least now we've got a little bit of clearance underneath here. That H-pipe wouldn't even really get into my garage before, and now there's plenty of room. I didn't say plenty of room, there's more room than there was before. So I'm gonna go ahead, take it for a quick little spin, see how it does. And then from there, that should button things up and be able to figure out what's going on with the turn signals. It's got the car tucked over here, got the turn signals figured out, and you know what? I took my own advice. The first thing that I did was I swapped out the LED bulbs that I put in here, and it was the first time I used a certain LED style because the 87 through 89, the rear bulbs are different. Like they're the old school, I don't know, you know, center point doesn't have like the plastic connector. Whatever, it's a different bulb type. Anyways, I always feel like LED bulbs in the rear potentially cause some issues, especially with the turn indicators. I swapped them out for factory ones, and lo and behold, everything started working. So got that fixed up, and that is pretty much it. It's sitting over here on the side in the shade, and that'll so maybe tomorrow I'll free up some room on the lift and I can do the H pipe, and that'll be it, and the car can go. Well, we got some of the rollers outside, got the Cali Coupe up on the lift here, and to be honest, I think this might be the first time I actually have this car up on a lift, because I wouldn't have remembered the exhaust being this kind of butchered and hacked up underneath here. You know, double hanger supports and different size pipe, and look at this lovely, you know, not mandrel bent. So anyways, I'm gonna pop the O2 sensors out of here, hopefully. Definitely gonna need it to get that bolt out, so hopefully they didn't torque them in there too tight, and should be able to drop this guy down, put the other one in. Hopefully this hoist arm, got that pretty close to that. I'll have to see what I can do there. Hopefully the other pipe will clear it. Let's see. Well, here's the H pipe I took off. Bastardized in so many places, and in fact it wasn't even a real H pipe. They just welded a piece of pipe in between to make it look like an H pipe. Unreal. So then I tried this guy to find out that the driver's side pipe wouldn't clear the transmission mount properly. So I don't know if this is off an SN95 or what the difference is there, but no go. Then I tried this pipe that was on the Calypso car originally, and the cat won't clear the transmission pan on the passenger side because there was a T56 with this one. So now we're going back to stock. I'm sorry to the owner, but you know what? You're in California, and as far as I'm concerned, this H pipe's probably worth 250, 300 bucks just in the catalytics alone. So anyways, gonna try and get this up in there, and hopefully I won't run into any more problems. Well, as the old saying goes, nothing fits quite like factory. Just gonna have to double check the tips here, make sure that we're pretty even. And unfortunately, this, depending, I don't think she's gonna like the sound of these, so I have a feeling maybe a catback's gonna get changed here at some point. So I'm just going to let her find out exactly what she really wants. Maybe she'll like this, and if that's the case, then just these flow tubes could get redone. Maybe a different high flow H pipe that will clear everything, but we're good now. Happy with the outcome here. So I can put the car down, and that's gonna wrap up everything that needs to be done before this thing can go. All right guys, so full transparency, buttoning up the last few items on the Cali Coupe here, and well, look at that. You're probably wondering, oh shit, what happened now? Well, I've had the car parked outside for the past couple days because I've been having a full house inside the garage here, and outside in the sun, things heat up, and you know, the moldings heat up, which means whatever material of the injection molding heated up, and guess what? Quarter windows started coming out a little bit again, right up here. I started pulling away so I could tell that this stud had lifted. So I got the interior of the car ripped back apart here. But needless to say, guys, whatever that material is, nothing really wants to stick to it. So it actually, where my urethane was like grabbed, and then like around the perimeter areas, it just like pulled. It's almost like a foam is probably a better way to describe it. It's not a solid rubber. It's something that's mixed and something that just heats up, and it's not as dense. So the density is what are killing these aftermarket quarter windows. So to the new owner, I'm sorry, I had to grab the tube of silicone that Daniel Carpenter provides in the latest batch, and they're siliconed in. I'm sorry to say, but you know what? I don't want them going anywhere. I still want the car to look good, and most importantly, I don't want water dripping into the car. And hey, you can see it. Look at that. I'll clean up a little bit of, my little runs there. But there you go, guys. All goobered in there, just like the Alamar how-to video. So the only thing that I did different is I wanted to make sure that there was really good pressure. Naturally, the bottom in every car could be a little bit different, but I've taped everything down, making sure it's all nice and tight. And got this nifty tire set up right here, holding stuff down in place, putting pressure on everything. I'll let it cure for 24 hours. And then the last thing I need to do is just spray the front calipers back up, and just a couple paint chips on there, and other than that, the car's good to go. But I just wanted to share that with you guys, full transparency, because if for some reason somebody ends up with that car and they rip the quarter windows out and they're just like, oh, I thought he fixed these studs, why did he go and silicone them in? Well, now you know why I silicone them in. You can't win them all, and it's a little unfortunate, but I'm at a loss, you know what I mean? So thing is, it's going to be fixed. They're not going to fall out. They're glued in. Silicone, at least I'm not urethaning them in, because if I urethane them in, man, whoever would need to potentially take them out in the future would be in for a really bad time. So that is it on the Cali Coupe, guys. I'm going to keep enjoying my weekend here.